It's back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, welcome back. It is another edition of the unofficial 40 podcast here from Soonerscoop.com, and we're here on a Friday, which the boys are a little bit surly. We wanted to do this podcast just like we always do, but we thought, damn it, let's wait until Jackson Dart makes his decision. There was a Jackson Dart non-sighting in Norman. The buzz was all over the place as of Tuesday night, and then Dart goes to BYU, and we still have no idea when a decision is going to come. So we thought, damn it, let's just do the pod, and we'll blame Brigham Young for it. Not the university, but just Brigham Young, because who doesn't want to blame someone a religion's been named after? Steve Young is his great-great-great-grandson. Wasn't that right?
Yep.
Something like that, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So welcome in, boys.
On, Terry, but we have ruled out Sunday as a day that he can announce
if he does, he needs to do it with a big cup of coffee while he's just break all the rules. They can't have caffeine.
Caffeine. That's right. Forgot about that.
It can't be decaf. Yeah, just do it like with a venti latte or something.
I don't want to get anybody excommunicated.
Well, if he announces Sunday, he will be.
That's why I think we can rule out Sunday. Hopefully it's all. I was telling them, I don't know if you heard us, but it's like, I think it's getting close to where like the Caleb Williams stuff is going to be done finally. There's going to be a little bit of room where everybody can breathe, but it still feels like we're still in the wait and see period. At least you're only waiting on one or two players, right?
I guess the thing you wonder is if Jackson Dart goes elsewhere, does OU jump in with J.T. Daniels or something like that? Do they still feel the need and that there is someone out there worthy of being a second transfer quarterback?
Well, and after the J.T. Daniels thing goes, I mean, you got to wonder if Lane Kiffin knows he's not getting Jackson Dart for certain now. And I mean, does OU know something?
Yeah, that was the most interesting thing coming out of Thursday during the wait and see period was just the report out of Mississippi that Lane Kiffin had met with J.T. Daniels as well as the wide receiver that had entered the portal from Georgia. That's a good question though, Bob. Like I haven't heard anything. We had always heard all along that they were going to take that second quarterback, but if they weren't going to go after a J.T. Daniels and if Jackson Dart isn't an option, you do kind of start wondering like what else is out there. I don't think that there's very much in the portal as far as guys that they would go after. 2022 quarterback. I don't know. And I guess is Micah Bowen kind of the forgotten man in Norman? Like, I still don't think he can throw, but I guess he's still a body out there. I really don't know. There's some interesting questions that would need to be asked if the Dart thing doesn't work out.
But no answers.
And scene.
I know, still no answers. We're not going to make up stuff just to have it out there. There's just no answers.
Well, I was talking specifically apparently on this podcast, but on silence.
There have been some interesting hires, like the continued staff stuff down in Norman that we can get into. It's a big weekend from just a recruiting standpoint. It
was a big weekend last weekend with all the transfers that came in.
Sure. With the transfer portal guys this weekend, probably more high school heavy. It's kind of interesting. And, I think if nothing else, it's been very apparent that, Brent Venable's staff, as I guess it is in an official capacity now, they've been rather active on the recruiting trail just as far as getting out and seeing people. And, I think something that we can talk about, just almost a more I don't want to say reemergence in the Oklahoma prep scene, but it certainly has become apparent that they are trying to get out more to high schools that maybe they hadn't been at, or at least make their faces be known more than has in recent years.
Yeah, I think that is, and I'm seeing, it's funny because I get these messages where, you'll see Joe John Finley at Carl Albert, or, some of these places where obviously a lot of good football players have come out of those programs, even guys that have gone to Oklahoma, but maybe don't have a guy right now that is going to be on OU's radar. But they are going in, and this is something I've heard, for 15, 20 years. This isn't something I'm just going to pawn off on Lincoln Riley, but it's something that Oklahoma high school coaches have talked about at times where OU guys wouldn't come through unless we've got a guy. And that's the only time we kind of see them, and that's the only contact. And I'm not sure that's always a fair criticism, but I do think that this staff is trying to make it clear, hey, we're here. We're going to be present. We want to be part of, kind of the Oklahoma high school coaching community. And really, because they understand that, when those coaches have a relationship, they are more familiar. They're more likely to bring the guy to your spring practice. They're more likely to bring a guy down to bowl prep. You just run down the list. You are going to do better when they do have a player because of the groundwork you laid when they didn't. And I think that's what you're seeing in a lot of these cases. Now, not that plenty of schools don't. I've been doing a lot of tape study, and there are some really interesting Oklahoma preps guys over the next 2 or 3 years. But I just don't think – I think it's more about looking to the future and understanding what that could mean more so than OU's going to go offer 27 guys in the state.
Kind of goes back to all just the things that I guess in a way that Brent Venables said at his opening or introductory press conference, just talking about how important relationships are. I think that kind of reestablishing a little bit of that is probably needed.
Guys, I don't know about you, but it has been telling to me that almost verbatim what Brent Venables talked about in that introductory press conference is what we're seeing happening. Like when I talk to these players about what they like about the coaching staff, what, kind of the sales pitch is, however you want to put that, it's what Brent talked about. I mean, or even look at Mekhi Wingo. Kid didn't pick Oklahoma and went to LSU, and that's fine. But he talked about, he sent out that tweet Saturday night that I think we all four read as, okay, he's probably not coming to Oklahoma. And he said something like, no matter where I go, Coach Venables and Coach Bates are two of the realest guys, or two of the most genuine guys, or something like that I've ever met. And that's what OU is now. I mean, that's clearly what they want to present is, what you see is what you get. We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to be honest with you. We're going to be upfront with you. And I think, not every kid's going to love that, but it's kind of like what Bob used to talk about, where you're weeding out the guys that wouldn't have fit into what your ideals are anyway. You're not just getting, oh, he's the most talented guy and he's going to leave anyway. So I think that is that's something to kind of keep an eye on, and I think something they'll build on over the next year or two.
So, I mean, Dylan Gabriel, we know, on campus, taking pictures, all that stuff. Let's say, Jackson Dart does pick BYU. I think a lot of people have asked me the last couple of days, like, well, what then? What happens next? You just roll into next season with Dylan Gabriel and that's it? Or do you go after somebody else?
That's kind of the biggest question out there. I really I don't know what else is out there, guys. I don't think that they would end up going back into the 2022 quarterbacks that are available. I don't even think that there's much there. In a way, do you just kind of pack it all in and say, okay, this is where we're going with Dylan Gabriel as the quarterback?
You wait to see what happens after spring practices.
Sure. That's probably the best plan of action. I mean, I guess you would just have to have Dylan Gabriel, Micah Bowen, Ralph Rucker as your three quarterbacks.
Because we all know after spring practice,
and Evers, obviously.
Yeah. I already have Evers, slated as the backup if this is the way it's
up. He has to win it first.
Well, he's going to.
Sorry, Ralph Rucker might have something to say about that, Bob.
but
I think you remember the last time Ralph Rucker went head-to-head with a scholarship quarterback?
Eddie, do you have your own Ralph Rucker NIL deal that we need to know about?
No. And I think Tanner Schaefer might come back and play. Maybe that's the deal. Maybe he comes back and goes for an 8th year in Norman. No, I'm kidding.
Well, what happens when Lincoln Riley entices Dylan Gabriel to transfer after the spring, after Caleb Williams spurns him for, Georgia or UCLA or whoever?
Call Caitlyn Jenner and have him run Lincoln Riley over as well.
So, no, but you're right. I mean, Nick Evers is. I mean, that's probably.
But you don't want to go that way again.
No.
Like Lincoln Riley conditioned OU fans to think that's okay. That true freshmen should be your backup quarterbacks. That's not how it should work. I could see them going for someone after the spring, but if they did that, that guy would sort of be accepting I'm the backup. And of course, that's really hard to do with any quarterback.
Oh, and I think that's
I think that's
is that not what Dart is having to kind of wrestle with right now, or at least I think that was kind of the emphasis of the meeting that they had, and I heard the visit in the Dart home was almost 5 hours during the week
with
when
Brent?
Levy and Venables went out there, and I think that was probably one of the biggest conversations is if you come to Oklahoma, it's gonna be a battle. This isn't a predetermined situation because of my relationship and thinking this is what Levy's saying. It's like he's not quarterback one just because we already have a relationship. When do we really have a relationship? I mean, I know they recruited him to Central Florida, but at the same time, I mean, have we overemphasized the relationship between Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Levy?
That's a new word right there. You just invented a new overemphasized.
Overemphasized. I saw a statement being put out by somebody on Twitter, and that word like immediately went into my brain, and then I said the other thing.
Were they not together for the 2019 season?
I mean, they were together, but it's not like they've been boys for the last 5 years. I think that while they do have a relationship, I wonder if we have, I don't know. Maybe not.
I think so much of it, to me, seems like we've made it. It's clear how important Levy is to Gabriel. I don't know if that's reciprocated, I guess would be the way I would look at it. And I don't mean like
this.
Levy doesn't like Gabriel. Just he's followed Levy. Levy hasn't done anything other than recruit a guy at a position of need.
I think I was the first person that brought Gabriel up on the podcast, and I said how much I liked him, and that he kind of even reminded me of a little mini Baker just as a gunslinger. And I remember after I finished saying that, I was met with crickets. Like, you guys were like, okay. Like, it's not like Dylan Gabriel is a Heisman frontrunner coming into this season or anything. He's a really good quarterback who I like, but it's not like he's just going to come in here and dominate and no one's going to be able to beat him out.
That's the thing. I think we'd all agree Dart's more talented. Yep, 100%. 100%. Now, I would bet on Gabriel. Okay. I would at least early in the year bet on Gabriel. One thing I did want to say, because Bob was talking earlier about, Lincoln got us used to the backup quarterback being a young guy and that kind of thing. Guys, I think especially at major programs like Oklahoma, Georgia, for the most part, you're going to be living that life sometimes. Like a fair amount of the time, because you're going to get elite guys that want to come, and once they realize that they're not going to be the starter, they're going to leave. And then you're going to be left with whoever the next big-time guy is and who's probably a freshman. And so I think it's going to be hard to expect a backup to be – and honestly, I would rather it that way than just some guy that's like, oh, he's experienced, but he's not very good as your backup. Like, I don't think that's the way you want that to operate.
Do you think that maybe not Todd Monken, but do you think Kirby Smart is kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, having Stetson Bennett back, but, I got to think about, like, what that does to Brock Vandegrift. I mean, he's already losing JT Daniels, or TJ Daniels, whatever he is. But, like, it's not great for your young quarter. Like, you're a team, and he did some nice things in the fourth quarter in that game. But he did a lot for them to lose that game, too, in the first 3 quarters. The fumbles, the interceptions, the 2 fumbles. Basically, he recovered the one. But, like, that team can win a national championship with a young 5-star quarterback.
Yeah, not to mention, aren't they really high on the kid that they just signed as well? I mean, wasn't he down at the Gunnar Stockton? Wasn't he down at the Army game tearing it up?
Oh, yeah, he
the
was.
past couple weeks?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no,
it definitely feels like a situation at Georgia that's like they love Stetson Bennett, but he's also going to be a 24-year-old, 6-year senior.
And you're trying
who
to
has
move,
no NFL aspirations.
And you're trying to kind of do that Saban thing where he went from, Jay Barker to, and then he kind of went through A.J. McCarron.
Jay Barker was like 95.
Jay Barker was 95. I'm thinking of the Florida State transfer.
Coker. Jacob Coker.
Jacob Coker.
Jacob Coker. Yeah.
You're going from the Jacob Coker trying to get to the, Bryce Young era. That's not happening if you have Stetson Bennett for another year. And this is a whole different discussion, but I'm just saying,
sure.
That's the thing you think about as a head coach. In their situation, they've got more talented quarterbacks, and that might be the same thing with Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Dart. Like, Jackson Dart is clearly the more talented player. Dylan Gabriel, I would say, I think he's better just overall, talent-wise than Stetson Bennett, but I don't think it's that big of a difference. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like going from Bryce Young to Stetson Bennett. I mean, the gap is not that wide between Dylan Gabriel and Stetson
that's
Bennett.
Fair.
And you just wonder if Jackson Dart
say,
feels like he can trust anybody after what sounds like happened between him, Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley at USC. That no matter what Levy and Venables say, he's going to fall back to what happened at USC, and it's just going to make him skeptical the entire way.
Or his family, at least.
Yeah.
Well, and if there's anybody's word you can trust, I think it's got to be Lane Kiffin, right? I mean, that's a guy. If he says I'm going to stay somewhere for a while, I think he's definitely going to do that. Wow, that fell flat.
There's probably coke dealers that you can trust more in Oxford than Lane Kiffin, and hell, that might be the same person.
Hey, the man worked in Boca Raton. He knows some of those guys, so don't worry about it.
That is true.
You think an Adderall dealer is more trustworthy than a cocaine dealer?
I don't know. I'd like to see though.
God. Again, things that you shouldn't say to your two bosses.
We'll strike that from the record then. Imagine like I didn't say that.
We'll just pretend like it never happened.
And the embodiment of the differences of your two bosses. I'm cracking up laughing, and Carrie's like, you shouldn't say that.
It is super interesting though, like just the whole Jackson Dart like situation, because you talk to people on the Ole Miss side, they seem confident.
Do they seem confident anymore? I mean, like, hasn't that changed a little bit in the last 48 hours? Yeah,
it's waned. Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it.
But Oklahoma people seem somewhat confident. I don't think that anybody truly really knows what happened during that 5-hour meeting in Utah.
I just think that the BYU trip changes everything. It's like, okay,
it makes a lot of sense.
Clearly, he doesn't feel 100% behind either Oklahoma or Ole Miss, so he's going to check out something else to see how he feels about that.
He's either very interested in the BYU situation or it was a courtesy visit.
I
don't know what
younger
that
brother,
is.
To help a younger brother. I don't know.
Right.
It was weird that his younger brother dressed up in full uniform for photos.
Oh, in Provo?
Do you think that they slipped him some power bar money underneath the table while he was there? I don't know what that nutrition company they're in trouble over is. Is that a power bar, or that's some kind of nutritional supplement company or something that gave all the scholarships to the walk-ons?
That they just slipped him another wife right now, but I'm not going to say.
But that's legal in that place. He doesn't have a wife in the first place. Is it not legal to be married to more than one woman in Utah?
No, I think it is.
Okay.
I thought it wasn't. And
Oh.
that's the whole Big Love secret thing. Like I
never really got into
multiple
that show.
houses.
Didn't really understand it.
Is it like a
just knew that
medical
it was on
marijuana
before The
card? It's
Sopranos.
like you might not really have a medical condition, but here's your card.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, depending on where you live, people may look the other way or may not. Again, I've never lived in Utah. I'm not going to claim it, but that's.
I mean,
I
is
guess that's my
anybody
very
anywhere
rudimentary
really
understanding.
chasing down polygamists? Is that what they're called? Is it polygamy?
Yeah, nicely done. Yeah, polygamy.
Is
Yeah,
anybody?
good job.
I mean, when's the last time you saw a story about some man in Florida getting arrested for being married to more than one woman?
Who gives a crap?
Well, that's the thing. Nobody's chasing that down.
Yep.
I don't know. Mitt
You could
Romney
be
might.
married to as many people as you want. Nobody's going to do anything. And I did not hear what Eddie said. Thank God.
Yeah, it's for the best. It's for the best.
Does it need a?
We're
beep?
upsetting.
It does not need a mark.
I
Okay.
It just needs
believe U.S.
To move on.
senators, something. Yeah.
I said Mitt Romney might. He's a big Utah guy.
Well,
I had a fraternity
his
brother that lived next door to him.
We
in
were
Park
listening
City.
to that BYU game driving home from Kansas State, and his son was the quarterback, or his nephew, or whatever.
I think it was his nephew at the time.
His great nephew or something was the quarterback for BYU.
No doubt.
I don't know why we were listening to the BYU game. I think
That's a weird choice.
That shows you how late it was, and how nothing else was on. Basically, welcome to the Pac-12. I mean, the other thing is, we haven't discussed this at all, but BYU is going to be in the Big 12, so that's a little feather in their cap that they have.
I honestly hadn't even thought about that angle until you just said something.
I'll be honest, before I said it, I hadn't thought about it.
Well, that's pretty genius on your part.
I'm a quick thinker. Yes.
I don't know. I don't even know if we want to get into that. It's like with the divisions and stuff that.
no, but it gives like some push to BYU for Dart because he knows he'd be playing in a Power 5 conference if he goes there.
Sure.
Even if it's just for 1 year in 2023. It doesn't make it seem so like this makes no sense why he would go there when you add in the fact, they're also going to be a Power 5 team here very soon.
It's very much in a wait and see mode. I mean, I don't think anything can really truly happen as far as the quarterback situation. And I don't even know if there is a situation because of the Dylan Gabriel arrival that just kind of wait and see. I mean, I guess
think
there's
it's
so much
safe
speculation.
I think it's safe to put it this way. Look, we all need Caleb Williams to announce, for USC or whatever, just to get that out of the way, just to move past it. And
is it bad that I've just completely, it's like blocked out of my brain right now?
Well, I'm just saying, I think we've all come to terms with it. We don't care, but for the fan base, I think it's an important step.
I think the fan base is completely over it. Like it will be telling.
Okay, let me put it this way: for the people that haven't gotten over it, I need them to stop DMing me, asking me Caleb Williams questions. That's
where I was going. That's where I was going, Carrie. I think it's going to be telling for the people that get angry still online when it does happen.
It's going to happen.
Those people should be excommunicated from the fan base because those are the crazy people.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I know. But we need to put it out right now to where the people that get overtly angry about it in knowing that they had a month to prepare for it.
Those people are too busy screaming
arrested.
on Twitter Spaces. They're not listening to us.
I should say they're listening to other idiots that are pushing agendas. So there's only so much you can do.
That's fair.
I got nothing against Twitter Spaces. I mean, we'll probably do some of that stuff at some point.
Oh, that's not what I was talking about at all.
That thing it is just mass chaos sometimes.
Is it safe to say that the people that will get angry when it's finally announced that Caleb Williams is going to USC are the same people that get their information and their sports news from Facebook?
Yeah, but all those people are coming to Twitter now.
That Venn
That's
diagram is going to look,
That Venn diagram is getting larger in the middle because
Sure.
It's just like I tweeted about the other day. Lincoln Riley is the one who brought all these people to Twitter with his eyeball emojis.
It's fascinating.
And now he cannot breathe online. He limits his replies. He does not participate in social media anymore.
Has he blocked any of you all?
No, and I'm surprised I have not been blocked.
Nope.
I kind of feel the same, Carrie. I'm a little bit surprised it hasn't happened to me yet. Not that like we've gone all in or crazy or anything, but there's been some I thought maybe my steak comment would get, because I know he got pretty pissy about the brisket thing over the summer, so I wondered if that was going to do it. But
well, that's the thing. He is very sensitive. I mean, he is. Mm-hmm. He was sensitive about the brisket stuff. He's been sensitive about everything, and then he did what he did, and it's just like, yeah. The outrage has been. And look, that stuff. I don't sit back and laugh at it because I have been targeted by the Twitter mob, and it was for calling him a dick. Like, I almost lost a job over that. So I don't think it's funny. I think it's scary, and it's not normal. But I mean, there's some real insanity out there as far as Lincoln is concerned on Twitter. I mean, just posting about it, you get this hatred and vitriol that you don't even ask for. And I think the most interesting part of it is seeing the USC fans be like, whoa, these people are insane. Yes, this is what a real football fan base is like. You guys don't get it.
I was going to say, I would say that from a pure passion standpoint, I'm not saying that USC doesn't have passionate fan base. I'm sure that they have segments, but it's a little bit of a different world.
It's a very different world, yeah.
And I mean, with that said, like Oklahoma, as they make the move to the SEC, I think they're going to see that it's a little bit of a different world over there.
You're not crazy enough, yes.
You think you're crazy. Like, have somebody go
poison trees yet.
Exactly.
Well, and do you guys think that there's something to, like, there's not enough people to combat the Oklahoma fans that Lincoln Riley's dealing with? Like, there's not enough USC fans. Like,
no,
say he'd gone to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, say he'd gone to Alabama. There'd be enough crazies to put out the fires for him that he didn't have to do it. OU fans are just overwhelming the USC base because there's just not as many nutso USC fans as there are Oklahoma fans. And I say that with love. A good portion of those nuts are our members. So, like, I'm fine with it. It just is what it is. And USC fans are.
Yeah, maybe you haven't seen the over 200-page portal thread on the site right now. So,
yes.
Is that up to a million views by now? My God, I haven't even looked this morning.
Lord. Stoops Bros.
It's close to 700 something.
720,000 views so far on that thread.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
217 pages.
I know that people want us to talk about like the Caleb Williams, like super secret backstory stuff. And I put it in that transfer portal. Like, I think everything that's been out there that I am aware of, we've kind of talked about. We've kind of insinuated. I don't think that there's like anything necessarily that hasn't been said. I think his dad's an asshole prick. I think that Caleb is getting is going to get and continue to get the wrath of a lot of stuff that his quote unquote team has done.
Unless that's Caleb, and he's just having the team do it for him.
True. And I've talked to people that have kind of insinuated maybe it's somewhere in the middle. I think that probably a lot of the times, like a lot of things in life, it is toward the middle that everybody involved is to be blamed. Because at some point, I think if you're a 19, 20-year-old kid, you can stand up to your parents and say, no, I'm not going to do that. But I don't know. I guess in a way, I kind of feel sorry for the kid. And I say kid knowing that he's 19, 20 years old. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I was telling you guys before it, I sort of hate everybody involved with it on that side. I don't know. I just don't think that there's like a lot of stuff that has to be explained. I don't think that there's a whole lot of like secrecy involved about it. I know the number one question is like, why hasn't he announced? I don't know. I'm asking the same questions. I think it's bullshit.
Mario Williams is asking the same question because he already made that choice. Last Saturday.
Well, Terrell McCutcheon.
That's the part that's
and his family was basically, they said more than anybody of the outgoing players as far as the hatred towards the coaches on the defensive side of the football, and this kid ends up playing for him. It's hilarious.
Like I said, Latrell is a kid that I had a good relationship with. Still speak like he and I. There's no problem there. It's hard to connect going to USC with all the things that were said by him and his family over the last month or two, or even during the season. Some of the stuff that was coming out from those close to him, that's fine, man, and they're right. It's his life. He gets to live it however he wants to live it, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, all the people that seemed to be the problem are not at Oklahoma anymore. They're at USC.
Yeah.
And you're like Brent, like Venables talked about, you are recruiting your own problems. You are bringing your own problem. Like, you were rid of them. You were clean. You were free. And you were going to play under one of the best defensive minds in college football. And the whole situation with Texas and, the fact that Jay Valai was there early on in Latrell's recruitment, it just shut everything else down.
And guys, doesn't this tell us, too, something about guys like Marvin Mims, like Key Lawrence? Like, those guys are, they're showing that they are team guys. Like, I know the stuff with Marvin Mims' dad was out there and his trainer, but Marvin Mims, and, maybe he goes through the spring and he doesn't like it and he leaves, but it seems like Marvin Mims, and I know his dad said something reassuring to fans the other day on Twitter about he never went anywhere. But, like, everybody was worried about it. I really feel like Marvin Mims, as a player, like, he's bought in at this point.
100%. I think a little bit of the Marvin Mims stuff was always a little bit overemphasized, as far as just people thought that maybe there was something more than there really is there.
But it wasn't coming from him. It was coming from his dad and his trainer. They're the ones that made people question how dedicated he was to OU.
Right. And Marvin Mims can't. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Tell his dad to shut up or log out of Twitter? Like, seriously, like, he can't control what those people are saying. But it kind of goes back to the idea of, so, like, when his trainer posted that thing about, like, not using him enough, I think everybody kind of agrees about that.
Yeah.
That Marvin Mims wasn't used enough last year.
I think people were pissed because it looked like he was, it looked like he was pointing fingers at the University of Oklahoma and not the coaches, and specifically Dennis Simmons, who was his good friend. And
sure. Like,
by the way, the whole Dennis Simmons thing, like, it's so weird because you talk to people that were close to him, because he's more of he's more like, Lincoln's an introvert. Dennis is more of an extrovert. A lot of people knew Dennis Simmons. Like, they like Dennis Simmons. They still like Dennis Simmons. They just know that he's tied to Lincoln Riley. I mean, he's basically his right-hand man for everything.
Oh, I've said it over and over again. That's the one person I am convinced knew something was happening before it was happening.
Right.
I've heard other names. I've heard Benny Wiley was kind of privy to some of it. And I don't know if that's true, but, like, I've heard it. He's the one that I'm like, I've heard it and I believe it. Like, just because of exactly what Kerry just said. That's his guy, man. That's Riley. That seems to be the one guy Riley clearly let inside of his circle.
Just go back and look at the day that he filled in, the week of the bye week, or the week of the Baylor game, when he filled in at the luncheon. Just some of the answers, it's like, looking back on it, you just kind of wonder, like,
Did he know something was going down?
He knew where Lincoln was that day. And it's believed that he was meeting with his agent.
Yeah.
What? God. But, I mean, like, if that's true, the cover, like, if you're Spencer, are you not furious that you were, I mean, whether Lincoln ever said it publicly or not, he knew what everyone assumed, and he let Spencer take the heat for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and there's stuff with Lincoln that I'm like, oh, people get mad. But man, if that's true, again, I don't know that it was, but if that's true, and you let a college kid take the heat for your bullshit, that's insane.
Yeah, it would be super interesting to if you could lock Michael Rattler and Brad Stogner in a room with Lincoln Riley, what would happen?
Not all of them would come out.
Yeah, I think that there's two that would come out. I don't like Lincoln Riley's chances of coming out of that room alive. Just from the things that I've heard.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done with the Lincoln talk.
Yeah.
I don't want USC fans coming and telling us we're crying.
Oh, what are they going to do?
Hey, all 12
You
of
wouldn't
them?
be able to understand them through the triple masks anyways.
Carrie, I would bet our official account has how many followers does the SC football account have?
I think we have quite a bit more, just our own account. Yeah, that's a good question.
They've got 63,000. Soonerscoop.com has over 70. Let's go to war. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We have over 10,000 more followers than the USC
official
football account on Twitter. That's in. And OU is what, like 600,000 or some crazy thing? 660,000 for OU's football account. They're 11 times larger than USC's account.
That's crazy.
I mean, that puts it in perspective. Like, you just can't fight that battle on Twitter. You're going to lose. I don't think I realized it was that dramatic.
Yeah, I knew USC's football account was not that big. I mean, compared to, I mean, it's big to, Joe.
Now, to be fair, I mean, that's also, I mean, they've had Clay Helton at the helm while Twitter exploded, and those so there's some reasons that are not their fault, but they've been probably more active over the last month and a half on Twitter than they have been in the previous 5 years.
Well, they had to take over doing the emojis because Lincoln won't do it.
That is great. That's just crazy. Again, that feeds to Gary's point, like the sensitivity. Like, why not just tweet it and turn your mentions off? Like, you don't have to worry about any of it. It's what's going to happen is what's going to happen. But you still get to connect with the people you're trying to connect with.
It's because because he knows how valuable that is for recruiting, and he doesn't want his post to just be littered with OU fans calling him a traitor or scared or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I told you guys back, like, even when it all happened, even like in the aftermath and like the 2 weeks after he made the move, I think that underestimated maybe would be the right word, just as far as like the anger and vitriol that came from the Oklahoma fan base, I think was a little bit of a surprise to the Riley contingent.
Yeah, it wasn't thought out that
which I don't like. I don't know how you could be surprised with how everything went. Like, are you an idiot? Are you stupid? I don't know how you could be surprised that people would be mad about the way that things went down, but I mean, it is what it is.
There's a lot I could say. I don't want to anymore. I mean,
yeah,
say it. I mean, say it.
I'll say, talking to the signees, all those mid-year guys that they were coming in, it was your question after Bedlam that assured them they were going to be okay. They're like, oh, he's not going to LSU. I don't have to worry. So they were even more off guard because of that. Then, like, if he would have went to LSU, I think they would have been upset, but they would have understood there were, like, dots to connect in the month prior so that it sort of made sense. But when he said what he said after Bedlam about not being the next LSU head coach, to your question, that had all these recruits believe, and they had nothing to be concerned about heading into signing day.
Well, I think everybody was the players, everyone, the fans, the media. None of us thought there was anything to worry about after that until we woke up that Sunday morning.
So what Bob is saying is Kerry was part of this lie.
I helped further it along. I'll take that bullet. Yep. I deserve it.
It's kind of cool.
Hey, let me take a quick time out. Guys, you're probably kind of going through what I am, which is, you wore flip-flops and all that and during the summer, and then it got cold, and it's just become a pain in the ass to put those big, thick socks on and your tennis shoes or your dress shoes or whatever. And I tell you how you can make it easier. Go to deadsoxy.com and get your Oklahoma collection. A lot of great collections out there right now with prices reduced. You can get the entire 8-pack Oklahoma edition for $125, $124.95. And the reason I say it makes your life easier because the socks are premium quality. They're very thin. If you're tired of putting on your big, thick socks and in your shoes and losing that freedom of having your feet free, go to Dead Soxy. They'll help you out with the boardroom collection and the college socks, especially the Oklahoma socks. Lots to choose from. Go check out our friends at Dead Soxy, deadsoxy.com. That's DEADSOXY.com, and use that promo code BOOMER for 20% off your order. So if you don't want the OU section or you want to get some no-shows even just to feel a little bit freer, go do it. Use that promo code BOOMER, 20% off, deadsoxy.com. So, outside of that, Josh, I've had this question, and I think it's something we need to address. We talked so much about the transfer portal. What does signing day hold for Oklahoma?
It actually, guys, if you would have asked me 10 days ago, I don't think I would have thought it was going to be that interesting. I thought, maybe we got too excited in December and thought a lot was going to happen, but there are a few races that are going to come down. I mean, we may have some signing day announcements, some stuff to cover. We may, there's a possibility we have to send, Eddie to, Dade County and, spend a few days on the beach, cover some announcements, see what's going on. Yeah, get some COVID, meet some Adderall dealers, whatever. But no, it does. I mean, it looks interesting. Oklahoma's bringing in 5 guys this weekend. And that's not right. I was going to say not one of them from their own time zone, but one of them actually is. So, I think we'll start with the name that everybody's most familiar with, and that's Gentry Williams. For those that don't know, and this is a rule that I wasn't even certain about, I knew of a different aspect.
Like an idiot that I didn't know about this, Josh.
Yeah,
the double visit rule.
It just doesn't pertain often.
Yeah,
it never really matters.
Exactly right. That I was so okay for people. What we're talking about, when there is a coaching change, there is an NCAA rule that allows for a new head coach to come in and do an in-home visit with a player. And head coaches only have one of those per recruiting cycle, but if a coach changes, then it's renewed. Like basically you're back down to 0. So when Lincoln Riley, if he had done an in-home visit with Gentry, it would be okay, and Brent Venables could then come in and do one anyway because of the change. Obviously, that didn't happen here because Lincoln left before that window ever opened. But I didn't realize it also counts for official visits. And like Bob was saying, it never tends to matter because you go in, you do the in-home, and the kids sign anyway. Even, the guys that didn't end up at Oklahoma, they signed somewhere else. So you don't really have – it doesn't matter. It's not part of the game. But Gentry, obviously he'd done his official visit back during the season, and now he's going to come in this weekend and take an official visit because he didn't sign in December. So that is obviously going to be huge. Oklahoma now has their cornerbacks coach, Jay Valai, a guy that what's interesting is Valai didn't really have much of a relationship with Gentry. I know there was some initial conversation when Valai was still at Texas, but I don't think there was ever really any relationship at Alabama. What's funny is he did have a relationship with Micah Tease, Gentry's buddy and Gentry's younger teammate. So it's strange that there's a little more connection to the younger player at Booker T than the older guy, but that is just kind of how it was. And I know Micah loves Jay Valai, so I think that should help OU coming into this weekend. And, obviously being around Brent Venables, being around, Brandon Hall, the whole defensive crew will be there and get to really give him the full pitch. And I think that's going to be huge. And I still have very little doubt that Oklahoma is what Gentry Williams will end up doing. But, maybe we come out of this weekend and we start hearing something different. But to me, that's the only way it goes. I think he either comes out of this weekend and doesn't say much, but everything's going to be okay, or he comes out and announces something. Maybe there's a small chance that he says, nope, that's just not for me. That's not going to be the fit, but I don't see that. In his heart, Gentry wants to go to Oklahoma. I think that's just the reality. I know there's been a lot of Jackson State kind of innuendo. I'm supposed to sit down and talk with Gentry. That we had kind of set something up, and then it was like, oh, he's taking this official this weekend. It won't be on Saturday. So we're still lining that out, but obviously it'll be best to talk to him after the visit anyway. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I think Gentry just has a lot of affinity for Oklahoma. There's a lot of connection there. And, we talked about it when he committed, guys. He said to me, he was like, I'm kind of buying in to, what these guys are selling can be. Well, Brent Venables doesn't have to sell you what can be. He can sell you what he's done. Like, it's not this is hype. This is, if everything goes our way, it's going to be this. It's, I've done this. Come here, work with us, work with our staff. We're going to get you where you want to go. And I think that's an easier sell because Gentry knows he's extremely talented, but he also knows he's raw and he needs guys who are going to push him. And I think that's something that he'll buy into at Oklahoma with the new staff.
Where do you want to go next? You want to go DFW kids, Florida kids, or Grayson Halton?
I would guess. I mean, there's 3 visitors from Florida. There's the guy. I guess Grayson Halton is probably the best place to start, just because I know kind of the opposite of Gentry. He's just not as well known to OU fans. Big defensive lineman out of St. Augustine in San Diego. Really, a guy that OU targeted pretty quickly after Brent took over and after they started to get some things in place. And it looked like he would stick with Oregon. He didn't sign, but then if I'm getting my timeline right, I want to say it was very shortly thereafter is when Cristobal left for Miami. And then it was like, okay, this is real. This could happen. And talking to some sources, I had thought until earlier this week, he'll probably stick with Oregon. Dan Lanning's obviously got a lot of, he's got a lot of momentum right now. Oregon's doing pretty well, securing some of their prior commitments. But talking to a few people, I get the impression Oregon thinks it's going to be OU or Miami. I think they don't feel that great about their chances. Now, what I was told is that they kind of think it's going to be Miami, but that Oklahoma absolutely has a chance here. So this weekend will be huge. Obviously, always interesting to see how a kid from Southern California responds to an Oklahoma January weekend. You never know. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes it bothers them. We'll see. You just don't know. But Oklahoma has a real chance here, and you've got to love what Todd Bates has done so far. I mean, the guy, going out and getting Jeffrey Johnson against LSU. I mean, even for very early moments in the recruitment, he's showing, that he's worthy of some of the reputation he has, and I think he'll be big here.
All right. Anything else of note in terms of just potentials? That I mean, how many guys could Oklahoma actually take from high school with the way the portal's going?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. So as you look at it now, they're at 73 scholarship players with the guys that have arrived early. Now, then you throw in, they've still got 8 commitments that haven't enrolled and done all that, including Gentry. So then you're at 81. So you've got 4 spots there. Now, you assume a few other guys will leave or, things will happen. I'm guessing you probably got about a max of 6 spots at this point is probably what you're working under. They're bringing in 5 guys this weekend. So clearly, and then you've still got Dart and Trigg. So, I mean, if Oklahoma does what I think they're hoping they'll do, I mean, you're talking about 6 right there. Because like I said, I've mentioned 5, but Gentry's part of the 8 committed players that are, expected to sign in February. So there are things you've got to work with. But I mean, like I said, it's clear they are working hard to get to 85. Like, I know it's upset fans in the past where OU's been at 81 or 82 to start the season or whatever, not used all 85. I don't think that's the plan here. I mean, and, they are obviously still working on guys like Josh Connerly. So there are plenty of things there that make me think that Oklahoma's going to try to fill. And I guess, just to fill out the final bit of this weekend are the 3 Florida guys. Jamarian Burt from Ocala, Florida, big DB, really like him on tape. A guy that real physical, real long. I think he could move to safety, but I think he can play corner. I think he can turn and run. I don't think it's a requirement that he's going to have to move to safety. I just think he has that flexibility. And that's something Brent liked at Clemson a lot. He liked those guys that could move around a little bit, and it was true at Oklahoma as well. So he's always liked the guys that give him, some options of, okay, we're heavy at corner, we can move this guy to safety and he can make plays for us, or vice versa, whatever it may be. And then obviously you have the 2 teammates from Cardinal Gibbons that I was saying Eddie may have to pay a visit to. Ahmad Moten, the big defensive tackle that was Brent Venables' first offer after taking the job, and then R. Mason Thomas, the big pass rusher that's committed to Iowa State. I like where they are with both guys. They're going to visit Miami the final weekend, so you just never know what that's going to mean. But I'm sure Oklahoma is hoping, especially I think in the case of Thomas, that they can get him maybe to flip this weekend. That would be – he's probably the one I'm watching the most closely, probably along with Burt, because I just don't know Burt well enough to know what he might do. But those are the 2, if you said, hey, who could do something this weekend, those are the 2 I'm kind of watching, just because I think there is, A, the level of interest, and B, you kind of look at their options and the connections they have with the staff, and I feel like Oklahoma could be the right call.
All right. Bob, we screwed you out of basketball talk last week.
And then they go and lose, see?
And now nobody wants to hear about it. Yeah. I mean, it's not pleasant, the schedule coming up.
No, it's not pleasant. And for the first time, with that loss against Kansas, that was the first game where they played well enough to win and didn't win. And that hasn't happened, I thought, throughout the course of the season. They were, you had a dud in Austin against Texas. TCU, you had all the turnovers, all the bad shots. Against Kansas, that is about as well as OU's going to play and not win a game. And so I'm very intrigued to see what their mental makeup is going to be. We've seen Mo Gibson, Jordan Goldwire tweet about, don't give up on us. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it right. Porter Moser saying, I'm not going to lose this team. Like, oh, man, it's going to be rough. You got Baylor. You're at West Virginia. You're at Auburn. That's your next 3 games. It's going to be very just how mentally tough is this team going to be, and physically, will they get Ethan Shagwa and C.J. Nolan back for Baylor?
They just shot the ball so poorly on Tuesday night against Kansas.
Yeah.
I mean, you go 4 for 17 from behind the arc, and 2 of those are from C.J. Nolan. He doesn't even play in the second half because of the concussion protocol, and Bob, it's something that we've kind of talked about privately, just as far as Tanner Groves. Is he getting beat up inside? Is he getting worn down? Because he's not shooting the ball. And you can tell that it seems like he's missing a bunch of shots short.
Yep.
And it would just seem that he's getting worn out inside. Shagwell's not going to really help you out as much inside as much as I just think that he would help kind of, I guess, carry that burden inside a little bit. But at the end of the day, you got to shoot the ball better, and especially at home. I would expect them to not go 4 for 17.
I don't know.
I don't know. And you got to get something out of Elijah Harkless. I mean, him and Tanner Groves combining to go. I think they were 5 for 19 on Tuesday.
It wasn't pretty Tuesday. I think Harkless, there's times he puts so much on to the defense, he has nothing left on offense. And I also think there's times when he gets past the ball with like 5 on the shot clock, and he's forced to just chunk it up because there's no other option. But yeah, what him and Tanner Groves have done the last week and a half or so, that's got to change. And the worry, I mean, they just haven't shot the 3 well at all during this recent stretch. And I don't. Well,
and as close as the games have been, it's not like you're asking them to be great. I mean, you're not asking Mo Gibson to go out and just be a machine. You just got to hit a couple of threes here and there. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the offense of that. I mean, you talk about the offense being bad against KU. I mean, against TCU, it was horrific. I mean, I wanted so bad for that game just to be over so I could stop watching it. It was terrible to watch.
If they would have played with the intensity that they did Tuesday night, Bob, they would have won the game Saturday in Fort Worth.
Yeah, and that's why tomorrow is so intriguing, because can they bring that intensity again after they've seen when they bring it, it doesn't even mean they're going to win. Because there's no doubt. They play like they did against Kansas. They beat TCU. There's no problems there. But now that they've lost that game against Kansas, can they bring that intensity, but even to another level? Because they're going to have to try to beat Baylor. And if they don't have Nolan back, I'm very curious about rotations. Mo Gibson went 38 minutes Tuesday because that's what he had to do. And he had that awesome 8-point stretch, step back three. He never scored again. He got tired too. There were a lot of tired players on that court for OU Tuesday night. And I mean, it's nice that they didn't have to travel throughout the course of this week, and then they got the rest Wednesday. But if Shagwa and Nolan aren't back or aren't 100%, that's going to show up again Saturday.
Sure. It's just this freaking conference, man. I mean, it feels like you get a breath of fresh air, and then you look up and 3 of your next 4 are not just against teams that are in the top 10, but in the top 7 in the country when you throw in Auburn. I was telling you guys earlier, it's like if you want to say that Tech, Kansas, and Baylor have kind of separated themselves, 4 through 10 in the Big 12, you could literally flip a coin in any order. I would say, yeah, I think that probably makes sense.
And that's the problem, is when you look at the games that are against, ranked teams, especially like in the top 10, and then you slip in a TCU or a West Virginia, those become must-haves. And the TCU is the one they let get away. It's like if you play Kansas State, that's a must-have. It doesn't matter where, home or away. You've got to get that type of game because you can't lose that. And then it starts a string of losses like last year. That's what, you lose at Kansas State, then you lose both the Bedlam games, and now all of a sudden you're not feeling too good about yourself. Same thing happened this year. You lose TCU, where it could have been years alternating wins, losses. Now you're in 3-game funk looking at Baylor in a 2-game road trip next week where you could realistically be eyeing a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, the farthest away you can travel in the Big 12. And then, I think Matt Norlander had his power rankings, had Auburn number 1 this week. So it certainly doesn't get any easier.
And it's on ESPN Plus, and I know a lot of people are not going to like that tomorrow.
I'm not even sure if I have ESPN Plus or not. I think I do. I think I pay for it, but I'm not sure. That's probably $7 a month I need to get rid of.
I dipped in and just bought the entire thing. I think it's like $70.
I tried, but I get Hulu for free with Spotify, so it won't let me buy the package, which would be cheaper.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing's just shitty. I mean, I can't believe that. I don't even want to get started on that. That's just so stupid that, like, going back into even last week when Texas and Iowa State, probably the marquee game on a Saturday in the afternoon, is on ESPN Plus and you can't watch it on television. Just ridiculous.
I can't wait till OU goes to the SEC and then the Big 12 gets the biggest deal in history from, like, Amazon. Because it's trending in that direction. Like,
sure,
all the streaming services are now putting their eyes towards sports as a way to grow. Like, Netflix has 222 million subscribers.
That's insane.
They make like $8 billion a year. That's just revenue. I mean, they're gonna buy a sports league at some point. One of these are, and it's what I've been saying for years and years and years.
Well, is it next year that Amazon takes over the NFL Thursday night contract?
Yeah, it's only on Amazon on Thursday nights.
It's amazing.
Sorry, phone's ringing.
I was going to say, was there any doubt whose house that was? You knew it was Kerry because he's the only one of us, I bet, that has a landline.
I do it for you people. By the way, you really never know when you're going to pose a question out to the world that just blows up. But when I said this morning that I was thinking about that I'm going to get a dog, it's literally taking over my life. People's suggestions about dogs.
If Eddie and Bob want to check out, I totally get it. I've got an hour or two to spend with you on this topic. We are good. Let's chop it up. We're going to talk about breeds. We're going to talk about adoption. We're going to see what's right for you, buddy. I'm here.
Are your dogs adopted, all your dogs?
Now, they are the first two I've ever had that were rescues. But, yeah, both mine now are rescues. But I've always been a purebred guy. I don't have a strong feeling either way. I'm fine with either choice. You do what's best for you.
I am not getting two dogs and naming one Boomer and the other Sooner. Just stop giving me that suggestion.
Duncan and Demon? Is that what we're going with?
I don't own a single OU thing. I mean, my mom has bought me stuff. I do have stuff in closets because my mom used to buy me stuff, and I was like, Mom, I can't put that stuff in my house. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm a professional journalist. I can't do that. So, look, I know I've turned into a slappy basically through Morning Animals and this podcast and everything else we're doing now and paying players, but I still have to keep some decorum of professionality. Mm-hmm. There's no naming the dogs Boomer or Sooner.
I have
or Venables or Porter or anything like that. I could name him Porter because that's my street.
Yeah, Porter's pretty great. Yeah, that's a good dog name. So, we're going to get a small dog?
There's dogs. I grew up, when I was very little, we had St. Bernards. We had two of them. The first one was older, and it was very docile. The second one was insane. And I literally think my dad drove it out to a farm because it would not be contained in a fence. We built fences for it, like a big yard for it. But it never wanted to, it would hurt itself and cut its throat like trying to climb the fence. And this is back in the 70s, 80s. But then we had Cocker Spaniels for forever, and I like those dogs. But like when I would take the Cocker Spaniel to obedience school, that's when I first fell in love with Rottweilers because they're just the coolest dogs ever. And you think, because you see them like in movies, and they're always like the security dog and stuff, but that's not what a Rottweiler is.
No, they're big sweethearts.
And I've always liked Labs and Retrievers. I just have. And everybody wants me to get some form of a doodle dog.
Don't get a damn doodle.
Everybody wants me to get a doodle dog.
They're the new you don't. I get if you or your kid or somebody has allergies, man, get a doodle. Like makes all sense in the world. I get it. There's no reason other than that to get a doodle. Like they don't do anything different than any other retriever, and you're going to pay twice as much for them.
And see, isn't the reason for having a dog just kind of so it shake things up too? Like you want a dog that's a little bit of a shithead, right? It makes life fun, right? Am I wrong in that?
You need to be prepared for like year 1 and year 2. He's going to be a little bit of a shithead, or she, or whatever you do. Mm-hmm. By the time they're 2, they get your routine, especially because you're basic. You live a very different lifestyle than me, but you have a routine. Like you do the radio show in the morning, and you do that. Your dogs love that shit. If you can keep them on a basic schedule. Like mine right now, because we're doing this, they're not going for the walk, which is what we usually do after lunch. And they're looking at me like, what the hell's going on? And that's the deal. Yeah, exactly. Oh, 100%. No, they're cussing me, especially my 1-year-old dog. He's a douche. There's just no other way about it.
I've met them both.
Layla calls him.
They are, yeah, they're rambunctious.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Tiffany calls him a douchebag all the time. And Layla can't say it, so she calls him a Dewey Bopper, is what she calls him. So that, what are you doing? He's Dewey Bopping. So, that's kind of become a running thing in our house. But no, yeah, like I said, it's just knowing what you want your energy level to be. And man, I love you. You cannot leave ant killer out in your house with dogs. Can't happen.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's
so
the thing.
That is something you have to consider.
It's only because I'm moving all this shit out of my house where I can have a real life finally, And like, I would never have a dog in this environment. It just would not work.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, as long as you know it.
And plus, it's really going to
to
help my Instagram game, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you get to post on Instagram, but you don't have to post pictures of yourself. You don't have to be that
People
guy.
can stop seeing my watches and just see my dog.
Oh, God, you and your watches.
I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to get a child. I'm going to adopt a child.
Okay, I have an hour on why that's a horrible idea. Okay, let's
From
get
what
into
country
this.
are you going to adopt this kid from?
America.
I think you'd be awesome with an Asian baby.
I don't think I can comment on that.
Because you're worried about the future, review, the board review.
I mean, isn't like everybody's people are very they're very passionate about me not going to a dog farm and doing a rescue. Isn't that kind of like what Asian babies are like? Aren't those rescues mainly?
Why don't people want you to go to a dog farm? What is there something wrong with it? I don't.
They're just saying that they're don't go, and it's basically like people saying don't go get a dog that someone creates when there are dogs out there that are going to die if they don't find homes.
Oh, really?
Which is a reasonable
Do they
stance, but if
have
that's not
those?
what you want, then don't sweat it. Do they have what?
I don't even know what a dog farm is.
I mean, I'm just like a breeder.
Like a
breeder.
kennel,
Yeah.
like a puppy kennel.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not talking about like the pet stores in the mall kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff does exist though.
Yeah.
Hey, Carrie, I'm telling you,
watch
either
that
way
stuff.
you want to go, you tell me, I'll find you a damn dog. Like I love that kind of stuff. I will. Both my dogs I searched for months before I picked the one I picked. So, and one of them I made a great choice. She's a sweetheart. The other one is a Dewey bopper. He's a pain in the ass. So, hey, 50%. I'm batting 50. Hall of Fame.
Do I need to get two?
No. Start with one. Do not go crazy.
Okay.
Now, if you get one, you love it, and you have the time, and it's all good, then hey, fine, whatever. But start with one. Two is a lot for me, and I've never had less than 2 dogs in the last 15 years.
I just see all the TikTok videos where people come home and the dog has ripped up their couch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You got to get a crate. Don't let them. You can't let them run free while they're puppies. Like they have to learn their areas. So we can go over all
House
that.
train
I got
that was the toughest thing for us.
Yep. That's
Get rid of all carpet.
Oh God.
I only have carpet in the bedrooms in my house, so I think I'm okay there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you do. Like as they get old enough and they've proven, okay, they're fine in the crate. Okay, they're fine in a little bit bigger. You just keep expanding the space, and the spaces that have carpets or rugs, those are the last spaces that are available to them once you really trust them. So,
all right, good talk. I think I'm square. I know where to go when I finally 6 months from now, when everything is settled at the office and I'm ready to get a dog.
Love it. I'm ready. You tag me in, Coach.
All right. Anything else you guys want to hit on before we get out of here today? Or anything we missed that was of importance?
The pictures of Schmitty working with the team that they've gone heavy on content this week from OU football have hit me in a certain way. I know that like the former players and most of everybody would say that it's like PTSD, but I see those pictures and I'm like, yes.
You're back home.
Work. Yeah.
New sheriff in town.
I want to see it all. I have been taking in as much Schmitty content as possible.
I don't know the one video they released where he was super nice, older Schmitty.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That was a little confusing to me. Like telling people. I even saw where Roy Williams was like, he never told us he loved us, and then Bob Stoops said, "Well, you were too busy crying in the corner to hear him say it."
Maybe that was some content there that we don't really know. Like, was that a setup? Was he actually talking to the players?
Yeah, is it just for social media?
Ooh.
But Eddie,
Yeah,
you pointed out something
just for social media.
You pointed out something. He hired away the former, was it Nebraska strength coach to be on his staff?
I think that had been reported by Football Scoop, as well as the fans got their special teams coordinator in the Nunez guy from Eastern Michigan, which is kind of interesting that he's not actually going to be a on-field staff. So how does that necessarily work? Although Ryan Doherty wasn't on field either. So I guess that kind of makes sense as far as the way that they're going to be able to work around that.
If you're just screaming at everybody from the sideline, is that really on the field coaching?
I mean, I don't know. I've always got a kick out of like the on-field, like who can and cannot coach. Like you're a loser if you're turning people in for that kind of stuff.
Especially when Georgia has a staff of 200.
Right.
What's one more matter?
I will say though, like I was talking to somebody the other day about, and I put this on the board, just as far as like the support staff and things that, they've started to put together, and the more that we see, I've heard that like Joe C is basically doing everything that Lincoln wanted, and I think that's pretty on purpose.
Yeah.
As far as knowing that they need to expand the staff.
Well, I mean, look, Lincoln Riley, and I want to get back into the discussion, but he has rallied the masses. People are pissed. People are willing to do more than they were willing to do before he screwed OU over.
Oh, Joe Harris said as much at that Board of Regents meeting. He said they're more invigorated than ever, and it was kind of like one of those things of all have to see it to believe it, and it's pretty obvious we're seeing it right now. There's no doubt about that.
Guys, I mean, they're got announced today. They're bringing in Jay Nunez from Eastern Michigan. Guy was a staffer at Eastern Michigan, is coming to be like an analyst basically for Oklahoma. I mean, that's a power move right there. Now Nunez is from Oklahoma, and there's connection there, but still, like that's not something you see. Not everybody can do that. So it's clear Oklahoma is not just bringing bodies in, but they're spending the money to bring in good people that can help.
Eddie, I'm laughing because I want you to know you exist, and I did hear you bring up Nunez before.
Yes.
Josh.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I missed it. Sorry. I'm an asshole.
It's a great point, Josh. It's a great point.
Damn it!
From 2 minutes ago.
I missed it. I'm still trying to finish Friday notes. Damn you all.
No, but and the other interesting thing was the Rivals portal had put it out there that their kicker has entered the portal.
Yeah, the kid from Eastern Michigan. I still think that Josh Plaster is he has a cannon of a leg. Obviously, Michael Turk coming back. There's not going to be much of a situation at punter, but I don't know. Maybe something we keep an eye on here over the next couple days.
One more towards that 85, maybe. We're getting
there. Know. I did want to say just two quick things on guys. We talked. I guess we didn't really talk much about the portal guys from last weekend. Obviously went very well, but as far as the two official visitors that were on campus, Cavante Henry, I really like what I'm hearing there. It sounds like Oklahoma really did well. I don't think Michigan is going to end up being a big role in his recruitment, even though he's currently committed to Michigan. It sounds like with the changeover with Sean Nua going to USC, I think everything's kind of calmed down. And I know people think, well, he's a Los Angeles kid. I think he wants to leave Los Angeles, so I don't think USC is going to be the right fit for him. The only other thing really that's on the horizon for him is Florida, and it just doesn't sound like he has much of a relationship. Sounds like he's kind of going to Florida so he can, see what else is out there kind of thing. But I like where OU is. Josh Connerly, haven't heard as much. I'm told it went pretty well. I don't think anybody's, getting overly confident. This isn't a Tristan Lee situation or anything like that. I think OU's trying to be very casual about all of it, but I get the impression that they feel like they're, they've got an uphill climb in front of them. But our buddy Ryan Young from a USC site is actually out in Hawaii. He's going to see him and talk to him today. He's helping us out a little bit. And going to get an interview so we can kind of hear where he's coming from following that visit and everything. So, like I said, still should be plenty of content even from last weekend and as we head into, obviously, 5 official visitors this weekend.
Connerly is a perfect example of a transfer portal in future thing. You bring the visit now, you see what happens with him wherever he goes. Maybe 2 years later, he picks OU when he hits the portal or something.
All right. I want to say a big shout out, a big thank you. I finished up. I spent 3 days just texting and calling people, raising money for the boys' home in Tulsa and in Isaiah Thomas's NIL merchandise. And man, we had some major giving that went on during that. Basically, had almost $10,000 in commitments from people, and we're gonna add on to that. The scoop is in making a donation to the boys' home. And when I say 10,000, that was towards his merch to give away to places like that, like the boys' home and people in need. But just overwhelmed. It's so cool to actually get to talk to a lot of you guys when I'd call and get your credit card information. I mean, you guys, I think what I would want you guys to know from this is our site's 98% men, but that 2% of women, I had the best, just most fun conversations with the ladies who were donating that were just the biggest. There was one woman, and her daughter's a senior at OU, and we probably talked it was probably 45 minutes. It seemed like about 10, but just having great conversations with people. I know I told you guys this yesterday. I had to call one of our a board. I don't know, what would you call him, Josh? One of our troublemakers. One of our bigger troublemakers. Comma 12, who we tried to permaban at one point, and we did, and then we let him back. But I called him, had a great conversation with him yesterday, and it really goes to show you that you can't always judge people online. Dealing with people in person is so different. So don't let your mental health suffer because of what you're seeing online. Just know that that's usually not reality, and people will be jerks just to be jerks because they think it's funny. But it was great talking to Comma 12 yesterday. Really good dude in real life. But just thank you so much to everybody. And if you still want to donate to the cause, I know there's some people that I didn't have down on the list that want to donate. I will put a big post up on the board later on today, just thanking everyone and getting those last few stragglers in. But there were 60 people on the list, and every single person stuck with their donation, and some really big ones. I mean, we had people that bought 10 hoodies and 10 T-shirts at once. So a couple of there was one guy I called and I said, "Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. You are the second biggest donation to this." And he was like, "Second?" He's like, "I want to be first." And he added T-shirts so he could be tied with the person who donated the most. So it was an awesome experience. And, especially during the holidays, we're going to be doing more of this stuff and really getting, athletes involved, through NIL with charities, because I just think that's such a great thing that everybody can get behind. So thank you to everybody that took part in that.
And you said that Blaine Brown can come back with a $10,000 donation.
Yes, Blaine, 10 grand in your back.
And
a penny less, off. And sorry, no. But you can Venmo me. Sooner Scoop Store.
And I want it to be known that this, the competition that Carrie brought up, that sales pitch was not used more than 27 times during these phone calls. And the upcoming Sooner Scoop trip to the Caribbean is completely unrelated. There's no connection. Don't look into that.
I'm going to tell you, I found out something about myself, which is when it comes to charitable giving, I'm a bastard. I'm not maybe we have enough, so you're good. No, it's we have enough, and you're still giving.
I like it. That's what it's got to be. I mean,
I'm a bastard.
Got to take that.
I will raise money for worthy causes, and I have no qualms about doing it. All right, guys, been a fun show. Thanks to everybody for listening. Sorry we're getting this out so late in the week, but blame Jackson Dart. All right, blame the Ranch Steakhouse.
He's going to announce the second.
We didn't even talk about that.
I swear to God.
Carrie.
The Ranch Steakhouse thing was just it was just a joke.
It's insane.
It was a little joke. And it just turned into angry people. How could you work for such a worthless media organization that you don't know if that's Jackson Dart or not?
It was kind of funny, though, that McKenna Tower was like, that's me.
Yeah.
at the very end.
Yeah, he
I
quote
thought
tweeted
I
the
got a kick
picture.
out of that.
Yeah, he said, what did he say? Something like, no, but I can block.
I can block too.
Yeah.
Kind of a good line.
It was the perfect picture because you really couldn't tell that was an offensive lineman from the picture. It looked like a skinny guy with long hair sitting at a table. It didn't look like a 280-pounder.
Like, oh, God, the message boards are going to eat this up and say it's not big enough now.
Eddie, I am shocked that narrative didn't really run wild.
There's still time.
Yeah, fair enough.
His head's not athletic enough. That would have been.
Oh no, the death nail.
The hair looks great, though.
I mean, look,
I was disappointed that he doesn't go to dinner with the face paint on.
The athletic head is. I mean, it has taken the theory has taken a real nosedive thanks to Cam Rising being such a good quarterback, because that's really where it started. I mean, he's good.
He's really good.
All right, that's going to do it. Appreciate everybody listening. Thanks to Dead Soxy as well. And by the way, some news about the pod. We are moving to Spotify. This is not like a Joe Rogan deal, but I think it's going to help with some of you guys that have been having iTunes issues. It's not that we have anything against our current providers. Just Spotify hit us up and said, hey, do you want to be on our platform? And you'll make more money from ads and stuff like that. So we're doing it because I like money. So you won't see any change.
With Joe Rogan now?
No, we're not. I guess in some sense we are, yeah. So get your conspiracy.
To Austin? Are we going to be like in between Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon's offices?
Yeah.
God, do Eddie and I just have to yell at each other about the vaccine? Is that all that's going to happen now? Is that just the whole thing?
No. We're still going to be on all the other platforms, wherever you listen to us, Google, iTunes, all that. It's just going to be going through Spotify. So hopefully that will be changed for the good for everyone. So if you see some differences or whatever, or something gets weird, or your subscriptions gets weird, just know that that's what's going on. So, and we'll deal with it when the time comes. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to everybody for listening. And we'll be back again next week for another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here from Soonerscoop.com.